We're getting close to the end of the 2-week ceasefire agreement. The part of the agreement initially was that the Iranian regime would keep the Strait of Hormuz open. Now we have issued a blockade against the blockade. Where are we standing in terms of what the regime's leverage is here, and have they made a big mistake given they're cutting themselves off from being able to export their oil and their biggest client in China is unable to get what they need for their economy?
See, Katie, I think Iran still thinks they're winning because they have a ceasefire, and President Trump gave them a lifeline. But what President Trump really did was give the American people a window into who Iranians really are, that they're not going to negotiate in good faith. The fact that our vice president went there, and the only thing on their table was to make sure that they stop the enrichment of uranium. So what we're seeing today is President Trump, he's going to go in there. He talked about the Stone Age. It's going to be much worse. And I hope it happens before that 2-week mark. We should not give them any more time. At this point, their time is up. We've spent 50 years in a chokehold. And what President Trump now has done is he's taking over the strait. And the best part about this, Katie, is we are finally going to stop China. China was getting 90% of that oil. So guess who's going to be at that negotiating table pushing on Iranians to stop holding proxy wars, to stop holding us hostage? It's China. So it's really checkmate on not only Iran, but China as well. They're going to get involved. And the best part about this is economically, the world is going to start buying U.S. oil.
Yeah, so Lisa, the eyes have been on Iran, of course, but is this about a bigger global shift that the president hinted at that starts with dismantling Iran in the region, getting new partnerships, hardening partnerships with the UAE and Saudi Arabia, working, of course, with Israel, but then also having a bigger global dominance in terms of what we're looking here, making the United States an exporter of oil rather than people going to Iran for what they need.
And a continuation of the Trump first term where he started the Abraham Accords. And he said, we can totally pivot from this myth that the entire Middle East and the world revolves around the Palestinian-Israeli issue, but we will focus on what the people of the Middle East want, and that is peace and prosperity. And we saw through the Abraham Accords how that can work with private deals and public deals. And now we're watching in real time the Persian Gulf Arab states are being shot at by Iran's regime. They're getting a taste of it. And we're watching the Abraham Accords, whether formally or informally, these states want to shift and they want to pivot towards Israel, towards the West, because they too want a future of peace and prosperity. Yeah. This is a complete reset. Donald Trump is playing 3D chess, and he completely understands. I know people are becoming very impatient with this war, and I want people to understand one thing. Donald Trump hates more than anyone. He does not want war. He doesn't want the prices of the markets to be shifted in the way that they have. We're coming up against midterms. He understands all of the consequences that he has to face, but
he also wants to keep Americans safe, right? Real quickly on the terrorism, we got to run, but the terrorism front, just real quickly, what that means moving forward with the president's plans here.
As Iran is losing their lifeline, they're going to go to proxy wars, and it's not only in the Middle East. We saw 4 attacks in less than 25 days on U.S. soil. We have to be vigilant during this time because the Iranians are out of steam, so they're going to be attacking Americans on our streets.
And we know that Hezbollah has been operating in South America, running drugs, and trying to buy missile programs from Iran. Lisa Daftari and Mehek Cooke, great to see you. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you.